plague during the reign of King Charles. At that time, the wealthy and noble locked themselves in the town hall, hoping to wait out the deadly virus that was wiping out the poor. They were untouched by the disease and carried on with their worldly engagements, only for fate to strike back. During one of their feasts, a deadly contagion broke out and ravaged their bodies. The guards refused to let them out, fearing that doing so would condemn the poor outside to the same fate. In the end, their remains and belongings were buried beneath that cross, serving as a chilling reminder of their arrogance. Apart from movie references, the legend of King Arthur also makes an appearance in the game. At this specific location on the map, you can actually find Excalibur embedded in a stone, and yes, you can pull it out. Whether it grants you the power of a true king or just serves as a cool Easter egg is something that remains to be seen. During a side quest in the game, when Henry is asked which nickname he would prefer, the options include a subtle reference to The Witcher, as one of the choices is a nod to Geralt, who is famously known as the Butcher of Blaviken.
The Butcher of Blaviken.
Well, that's not very creative.
At one point in the game, the Bailiff will assign you a task to catch a thief stealing cabbages from the town, and as you're wandering through the forest, you'll stumble upon a trail of cabbages leading you on a little scavenger hunt. Follow the trail and you'll eventually find a cave where you catch the infamous Cabbage Man. You can either turn him in for a nice 700 groschen, or let him whip up a cabbage delicacy just for you. This dish will not only satisfy your hunger, but also gives you a +1 boost to vitality. And I think this could be a reference to the cabbage merchant from Avatar: The Last Airbender. This next secret might be a bit heavy for some, so just a heads up. In the same cemetery, you'll come across a grave that's filled with toys and oddly small remains, with a skull you can loot. If you take the skull to the gravedigger nearby, he'll tell you a heartbreaking story about a child who accidentally fell into a stream, and the mother, unable to cope with the loss, passed away soon after. The mother, though, was buried beneath the Kuttenberg walls, far away from her child. You'll have the chance to recover her skull and reunite them by placing both mother and child together.
I hope you'll be satisfied.
Speaking of the gravedigger who shared the tragic story about the child, it turns out he's battling some demons of his own. If you manage to sneak past him and enter his house undetected, you'll find a chest above his room that contains some very peculiar items. If you read their descriptions, you'll find out they have some very special boner effects. I mean, bonus effects as well. While staying at the Gellerhof Tavern, you might run into two friends, George and Michael, who share a passion for music. They'll send you on a quest to fetch them a musical instrument, and if you're paying attention, you will quickly notice that their names are a clever nod to the famous pop icon George Michael. And if you change the game's language, the reference switches to a famous singer from that region. For example, in German, their names are Udo and Jürgen, referencing the popular German singer Udo Jürgens. Complete their quest, and these two music enthusiasts will compose a song about you. It's a fun Easter egg for fans of 80s music.
Henry, our hero Henry, the fellow who helps us fellow ride.
And while we are on the subject of parading Henry, there's this strange lady you might bump into while fast traveling. She doesn't have a name, but she's always following you around mysteriously. If you happen to talk to her, she'll recognize Henry and even mention that she's been with him through many times, like back in Skellets.
What kind of work do you do?
I assist people, sometimes with their pain, their suffering, their hatred. It varies from one soul to the next. We have seen each other many times. Why have you left it until now to stop by?
I don't remember seeing you before.
Really? I have always been with you whenever you... Well, never mind. Good luck, Henry Skellets.
You know my name?
And if you're curious enough to peek into the game files, you'll find out her name is labeled as Death. You can encounter another NPC while fast traveling, and this one's a lot less creepy. And one of the dialogue options lets Henry make a reference to an iconic video game franchise.
I heard of a bloke who took an arrow to the knee.
And you guessed it. This is a popular line from Skyrim. Back in Sedlet's monastery, hidden behind a bush, you'll find a sword sticking out of a campfire. This scene will likely remind some players of the bonfires from Dark Souls, which serve as checkpoints where players can rest and create new spawn points. The horse trader in Grund has a very special steed in her farm. This little gem is a nod to Bill, the very same pony that accompanied Sam during the early adventures of the Fellowship of the Ring, right up until they reached Moria.
These four old fellas left him here. They were travelling God knows where, and Bill was carrying all sorts of packs on his back. They were these little fellas who went barefoot, and they were looking for an inn. I reckon they sold poor Bill so they could buy a hot dinner. I mean, they couldn't even afford shoes.
A neat reference for all Lord of the Rings fans playing the game. In the forest south of Gutenberg, you'll come across a straw hat with a red ribbon. This is a subtle reference to a pivotal moment in the One Piece anime, where the main protagonist, Luffy, leaves his straw hat on a rock to begin his hockey training, which leads to a 2-year time jump. The item description reads that it seems to carry with it the will of the find from any regular merchant. This is a nod to Undertale, where a skeleton sells this to the player for at least 50,000 gold. Its steep price is for its sentimental worth than its actual use.
Mind where you're going?
The night is calling. Reach for it with limited time cocktail-inspired series from Zin, featuring mojito, spiced cider, and espresso martini. Zin After Dark. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
If you were it.
In the Gutenberg tournament, your opponents aren't just random knights.
I
They're
brought a
actually
lovely...
counterparts of
Hail,
famous pop
Pilgrim.
culture characters.
If it's good
Take
company
William
you're
Thatcher,
after,
for example.
that's one thing
He's
we're
clearly
never
inspired
short of.
from the 2001
God bless you.
movie called A Knight's Tale, where the late Heath Ledger's character,
two
William
fools who
Thatcher,
may be
also
couple.
I was
competes in the
looking for some
tournament,
merry...
though under
Aye,
much
well,
different
we're not going to
circumstances.
find
Then
Baldeep
we have
today
Johann
anyway.
Silverfist, an obvious nod to Johnny Silverhand from Cyberpunk
he ain't no pup
2077.
What in God...
But our chief, Nicholas,
in the head on account of the time spent
it was
in
a
the
bear.
dark
Damn it.
underground.
He
But
was so
still a living legend.
skilled
And let's not
trappers.
forget Matthew the Minter, who bears a striking
What says you're a
resemblance to Matt
Mikolas?
Damon's
It was
character in
him
The
what
Last
killed the
Duel,
mother
right
bear.
down to the goatee and
And now
medieval
the
armor.
cubs...
But that's just a few of them. Have you
Ah,
spotted any
well,
other familiar faces
what's
in the
it to be-
tournament? Let me know in the comments below.
All right,
Hidden
I'll
along
get
the
it. Come
walls
back
of
when you're
Gutenberg,
ready.
Behind a lush green bush, you'll find a cat with a sword in its mouth, a Slovak fairy tale known as An Egg Went Wandering. Just outside Trice, but this time, it seems the Brotherhood didn't quite stick the landing. The perks menu is also packed with several references, whether it's Gladiator, Sandman, Beowulf, or the Green Knight. Fun fact, this Green Knight is not from a movie, but from a 14th century chivalric romance called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Moving on, the perk One Shot at Glory seems to be a nod to the ending song from Painkiller by Judas Priest, an English heavy metal band. Meanwhile, Ordinary Man might be a reference to Ozzy Osbourne's 12th studio album and the song with the same name. The devs have also sneaked in a few references through item descriptions, one of which is a Lord of the Rings reference in the description for a torch. May it be a light for you when all other lights go out. And if you manage to get your hands on Sigismund's sausage, the description includes a hilarious nod to, well, his endowment. You can also find references in your achievements, for example, Rock and Stone, which is a popular phrase from a game featuring badass space dwarves called Deep Rock Galactic. The achievement description references Carl, who is an unseen character in the game, but deeply loved by the community. The Halshot first perk is possibly a reference to the famous debate among Star Wars fans about a scene in A New Hope, where Han Solo shoots Greedo. In the original version, Han shoots first, but the scene was later edited, sparking a long-running argument about whether Han is a cold-blooded killer or was simply acting in self-defense. This perk is a playful nod to that ongoing debate. One fun Easter egg in the game is the Potion Seller perk, where both the name and description reference a viral comedy skit by Justin Huritsky's.
You cannot handle my versions.
In the skit, a knight attempts to convince the potion seller to sell him his strongest potions, hoping they'll give him an edge in an upcoming battle. There's also a skeleton with an oddly small skull that can be found somewhere between Troskowitz and Jelihov. This could very well be a reference to the shrunken head guy from the 1988 movie Beetlejuice. Other dialogue references in the game include
Not great, not terrible.
straight out of HBO's Chernobyl,
Not great, not terrible.
and of course,
War never changes.
a line that's famously narrated during the opening of every Fallout game.
Instead of war never changes.
When I said there's an Easter egg in every corner of the game, I meant it. On the western edge of the map, you'll come across an isolated shack in the middle of the woods, but there is more to it than meets the eye. You will find sausages suspended from a tree and a dead man's body inside a white foamy barrel. His belongings can be found inside, a straw hat resting on what appears to be a side. This entire scene is filled with references to Darbujan of Pandrola, a classic Czech folktale and film about a poor miner named Darbujan who gains the power to heal, and a wealthy, greedy brewer named Pandrola who eventually needs Darbujan's help when he falls ill. The story delves into themes of social justice and the consequences of greed. Now let's take a look at some popular references to Czech culture. If you still haven't made it to the wedding and found this reference, well, then that's on you. There is an NPC who mistakes you for someone called Bushek and offers you wine. Henry then comments on how the wine tastes disgusting. This is a reference to a Czech poem known as The Ballad of Charles IV by Jan Neruda. The poem depicts King Charles and his advisor Bushek tasting wine made from Czech grapes, with the king initially criticizing it for its poor quality. His frustration extends to the land and its people, whom he finds stubborn and unyielding. However, as he continues drinking, he begins to appreciate the wine's unique qualities, recognizing that both the land and its people have value despite their imperfections. Now, speaking of Czech culture and its people, one of the country's most infamous and hilarious news reports made its way into the game. You can find this reference in the bailiff's book in Troskowitz. It mentions a 57-year-old woman named Zdena, who remains wedged between a tree root for 11 hours due to her reluctance to call for help.
Hey, Meta, film this. My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. With Skyrizi, feel symptom relief at 4 weeks. Many people were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 3 years.
Don't use allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them.
Looking for something in there? Steve! Can we sort this out on our own?
Hold
Do I
on.
need to get the
Let's
bailiff
talk about
involved?
this.
What do you think you're doing? Mayor, either you cough...
Ask your gastroenterologist about Skyrizi.
Call for help.
And what if...
Ha! I'm in the right here.
North of Raborch, you'll find a lifeless body.
Now, hold on.
And don't think that I...
With its head inside a wicker fish trap. Behind him lies a doused campfire, where a crab still rests on the ashy remnants, and beside
Clear
it
off,
is a
and
bear
don't
pelt.
bother me.
From these things we can conclude that this man was likely either a hunter or a fisherman. Further along the path, a small cave reveals a dead man's skeleton draped in spider webs. When you piece all these details together, this feels like a nod to Czech and broader Slavic legends of the Vodnik, a water spirit who turns the tables on those who dare exploit ponds and rivers, often disguising themselves as something green. The folks at Warhorse Studios seem to have a fondness for the extraterrestrials. Just like in the first game, there's a crashed UFO near the edge of the map, but this time they've gone one step further and on the opposite side of the map, you'll find their mummified bodies in a grave-like box, a direct reference to the viral footage of aliens released by Mexico. This isn't the last of the strange and the occult in the game. On the southeastern border of the Trotsky region, you'll come across an abandoned tent where you can actually spend the night without someone barging in. Nearby, there's a bloodied opening in a small tree, and the beak of what looks like a wooden duck peeking out. All of this leads to a mysterious, leafless tree shrouded in an eerie mist. Tied to the tree is a skeleton, likely the victim of a ritualistic death, and then next to it is a peculiar stone. Interestingly, you can find a similar tree in the Kuttenberg region. That one, though, is accessible. It's decorated with bizarre totems hanging from its branches and a basket full of offerings. And let's not forget the stones with strange faces scattered around. These might be a nod to pagan rituals that were common during that time, or perhaps a teaser for an upcoming DLC. And speaking of things that were all too common in medieval times, witches. Near one of the charcoal burner camps in the Trotsky region, you'll come across remnants of various magical beings, like a Harry Potter-esque skeleton flying on a broomstick, with what looks like a snitch-like object in its mouth. But things take a turn for the dark when you realize that wood isn't the only thing at stake here. This entire scene appears to be a nod to the grim historical practice of executing those accused of witchcraft by tying them to a stake and setting them on fire. In a house around this corner of Kuttenberg, you might spot a strange figure peeking through the window. It's not entirely clear whether the devs added this just for the creep factor, or as a reference to something more specific. Could it be a nod to the monolithic human figures carved by the Rapa Nui people on Easter Island? Or perhaps it's a playful reference to
spanking my pizzle?
That coward must have shot from here. It must have been shot from here.
I surrender.
Games with me.
Enough.
Fight! I've been waiting for you. Sacre, what the...
Enough. I give up.
To Angelo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Either way, it's a cool little mystery to ponder as you explore. Let's turn the page to something a bit more joyful. Picture a
surrounded by people constantly. Couldn't be authentic self with anyone around me. Felt like I was deceiving them and myself simultaneously. Original goal that motivated this whole journey was losing meaning. Wasn't proving any kind of strength. Just desperately trying to survive each day. Began seriously doubting my entire identity. Questioning who I really was underneath everything. One particular night, couldn't fall asleep at all. Just lay on my
Why
bunk,
are you
staring
showing that
at the
off?
ceiling.
Pathetic.
Tears started rolling down my face.
You were beginning to
Look
make me
out.
nervous.
Hadn't cried from physical pain or injuries. This internal breaking point was completely unbearable. Suddenly felt someone sitting down beside my bunk. Turned and saw Igor there in the darkness. Asked me quietly without any judgment what was troubling me. His voice was gentle, not demanding answers. Couldn't find words to respond to his question. He told me that everyone found this work difficult. It wasn't about who was physically stronger than others. It was about who could endure the hardship long term. Not for someone else's approval, but for yourself. Because nobody else will do it for you. Here you become your own support system and emotional strength. Nobody would pity you. And that was actually a good thing. Explained that pity wasn't the same as real strength. His words struck me more deeply than anything I'd heard. Expected mockery or masculine dismissiveness. Instead, heard genuine wisdom and lived experience. He shared that he'd been through many difficult trials. Never considered himself hero or a special person, though. Just did his job to survive and provide. Completely opened my eyes to reality. My entire feminist worldview had been built on false assumptions. Thought male strength was unearned privilege from society. Pain and hardship. Be reliable support for other people. Never expect sympathy or special treatment from anyone. Understood that men weren't born with natural strength. They developed it because circumstances left no other choice. Survival demanded this kind of resilience. Worked steadily until end of my rotation contract. Final months, stopped trying to perform with strength. Just focused on doing assigned job competently. Began actually talking with other workers during breaks. Shared some stories. Laughed at their jokes and observations. They accepted me as equal without asking personal questions. Realized they didn't see woman hiding underneath. Saw a fellow worker doing a job alongside them first and foremost. Gained respect through consistent work, not gender performance. Eventually returned home to my old life. Transitioned back to being Alice again. Parents greeted me with surprise, but no longer hostile expressions. Friends who learned about my return started calling and texting. Some invited meetings and catch-up sessions. Declined most of these invitations politely. Wasn't the same Alice they remembered likely before. My body had permanently changed from this experience. Hands remained rough from months of manual labor. Voice stayed deeper from hormone treatments and training. Facial structure had shifted. Jaw appeared more square. No hairstyle or makeup could completely hide the changes.
God grant you health.
Bathroom mirror no longer showed naive young woman, the one who had once easily decided to become a man. Instead, saw a person with difficult but genuinely valuable experience. Someone who had learned hard lessons about life. No longer felt like heroic figure fighting important cause. Simply understood that world was much more complex, more nuanced than I'd ever imagined in my theories. Learned that men have their own rules and responsibilities, their own challenges and burdens to carry. This doesn't make them automatically strong or weak. It just makes them who circumstances force them to become. Knowledge I gained at that construction site was the only thing I didn't lose. Everything else about my old identity got stripped away. Sometimes Igor's words still echo in my head during quiet moments. About endurance not being about physical strength, being about doing what absolutely needs to be done, when nobody else will step up to do it. Learned that lesson through the hardest possible method. Construction site taught me more about real humanity than years of feminist theory and academic discussions ever did. Men working there weren't my enemies or competitors. They were just people trying to make it through another difficult day, exactly the same as everyone else in their own way. Remember Jack the foreman calling me into his office. Happened maybe a week before my rotation ended. Thought I was in trouble for something I'd done wrong. Instead, he told me I'd done solid work throughout my time. Said I'd proven myself capable of handling the job. Offered me permanent position if I wanted to stay longer. Felt strange pride hearing this from someone who had no idea about the journey that brought me to that moment. Declined the offer because I knew this chapter was ending. Other workers threw small goodbye gathering in barracks. Nothing fancy, just shared some drinks and stories.
Let's talk about good.
Few guys said they'd missed having me around. Igor shook my hand and said something in Russian. Later learned it meant good luck or safe travels. Felt genuine
Sehr gut.
sadness.
I can agree.
Behind.
Das war ein gutes
They'd
Geschäft.
become
Auf
something
Wiedersehen.
like brothers without knowing.
Oh mein Gott.
Shared
I'm awfully
hardships
hungry.
created
Can I
bonds
go
I
and get
never
something
expected.
from the kitchen?
No.
Journey home.
Meine
felt
Frau
surreal
saw you
after
gibt's noch
months of
Ärger.
work.
What? Like you...
Cities seemed too loud, too crowded, too comfortable. Everything felt soft and artificial compared to construction site. Realized I'd become accustomed to
People
a
say
harsh way of living,
trouble.
where
Does your
every
wife
comfort
really
had to be
starve you
earned
that
through work,
much? She doesn't
where
seem such a
respect came from what you did,
shrew to me.
not
Well, I have an
Parents wanted
ulcer
to hear
and the
stories
physician
about my
said I cannot
experience.
eat anything too
Tried explaining what I had
fatty,
learned.
sweet or
Words
spicy.
wasn't adequate. How could I describe the weight of those months? The way it changed my understanding of strength and weakness. The brotherhood I'd
I'd like to do something about...
workers. The quiet dignity of men who never complained about
Why?
their burdens.
Du wirst sicher zufrieden sein.
Settled for
Bis
knowing
bald.
it was an educational experience. That I'd learned things I couldn't have learned any other way. Old friends were curious but in a different way. Wanted to know if I'd proven my point about male strength. Expected a simple answer that would validate their assumptions. Couldn't give them the neat conclusion they were looking for. My discoveries were too complex for easy explanations. Feminism I'd practiced before seemed naive now, built on theories rather than lived experience. Real world was messier than academic discussions allowed. Tried returning to my previous activist circles. Attended few meetings and discussion groups I belonged to. Found myself disagreeing with positions I'd once held strongly. When someone complained about male privilege, I thought about Igor working double shifts to send money home. When someone talked about toxic masculinity, I remembered the quiet support workers showed each other. Felt disconnected from conversations that seemed too abstract. Body dysphoria became ongoing issue after returning. Hormone treatments had permanent effects I hadn't fully considered. Voice would never return to original higher pitch. Facial hair growth required constant maintenance.
I'd like to do.
All right.
Hot deals on Nike and Adidas shoes. Score up to 40% off Korean First and GST. Shop more deals in store or on the Dick's app. Every holiday starts at Dick's.
I'm done. Thank you kindly, and come again, friend. Fuck me.
I heard you could use a help.
I could. My last two hands. What are they called?
Henry.
I'm Radovan. You should know Henry. The blacksmithing isn't for everyone.
Yeah? My father was a swordsmith.
Hold your horses. I'll have to try you out first. You could forge me a hunting sword as a test, so I can see if you can make a straight blade. That shouldn't give you much trouble if your father was a swordsmith, should it?
Sure thing.
Great.
Iron.
You can't make a sword out of but if you don't have your own stuff. Farewell, my friend. Excuse me. Go over to the anvil, and let's get started.
Muscle mass had increased significantly. Physical labor. Looked in mirror and saw someone caught between identities. Not fully Alice anymore, but never truly Alex either. Strange liminal space that felt isolating in a new way. Started therapy to process everything I'd experienced. Therapist, Asian woman who specialized in gender issues. Talking through my motivations and discoveries took months helped me understand what my original plan was flawed. It wasn't just about proving women could do men's work. It was about understanding what strength actually meant. Learned that real strength wasn't about physical capability. It was about persistence when everything hurt. Showing up.
I should eat something.
Supporting others when you had nothing left to give. Slowly began rebuilding relationships with family. Conversations with Dad became more honest and complex. He admitted that construction work had been harder than he let on. Shared stories about times he wanted to quit. About friends who'd been injured or worse on job sites. About the fear that lived in every worker's chest. Fear of not empty. Began to understand his dismissive comments about female weakness. Were about protecting women from the world.
Are you out of your mind?
Get away! Oh! Figure out who I was becoming after some friendships the gap between my experience and their theories was too wide. They wanted me to return to the person I'd been before. To validate beliefs we once shared without question. Couldn't pretend that months on construction site hadn't changed. Fundamentally different understanding of the world now. What strength meant. What
all right. Oh. Do you think? Oh,
gender
to be a
dynamics really were in practice. Found new job in a completely different field. Office work felt strange yet purposeful labor. Missed the clear objectives and visible progress of construction. Tasks seemed abstract, disconnected from real outcomes. Co-workers complained about problems that seemed trivial. After experiencing genuine hardship and brotherhood, struggled to care about office politics and minor inconveniences. Started volunteering with organizations that help displaced workers.
I hear you.
You can say that again. Those fucking...
Did you notice an ordinary mutt among...
You know, there might have been.
That could have been...
If I understand you...
That's right.
I'll say, since you're already... If you kill those furry...
What?
That's great.
I hope so.
I was grazing my sheep up on the slope last time, by the forked birch. And those monsters learned to go there. I don't take my sheep there anymore.
So we'll bring your flock up there again.
Are you fucking mad?
Not even one single...
Well, I could lend you Ignatius.
All right.
He's mad for carrots. I happen to have one here. If you, when you get to the pasture...
Where can I hide there?
There's a thicket of... But you'll hear them from far away as they get close. See you soon, my friend.
Knew what it felt like to have your body pushed beyond limits. Understood the pride that came from doing difficult work well. Also knew the fear of being unable to continue. Of losing identity tied to physical capability. Igor sent me letters sometime the following week, written in careful English, probably in a dictionary. Told me about his family, how his daughter was doing.
How are you, Ignatius?
Mentioned that work site at
Sorry.
wasn't seen.
Thought now that we're partners, you'd be a bit more talkative.
Well, my real life. The phrase made me think about what constituted real life. Time at construction site felt more real than anything before or since.
Why do they call you Ignatius? All right. Keep it to yourself.
Some what I'd learned about myself. Thanked him for conversation that night at
Do you want to go back home?
Told him his words.
You must be afraid. Mike, you aren't afraid of anything. I respect that.
His response was typically equal. Few words.
Don't you think we've been chatting long enough? I'm glad. Let's go and get this over with.
What I found. Years later, still processing everything from that experience. Understand now that my original feminist beliefs weren't wrong. Were just incomplete, based on limited perspective. Women do face discrimination and barriers that men don't.
Forked birch.
Men also carry
I
burdens.
found the spot. Well, Ignatius, I'll put your snack
The
right
world is more complex than simple oppressor-victim narratives allow.
here. Now,
Genders face different
come and eat it up.
challenges
Once you
and
see a wolf, just out
manifest
loud,
differently in different
and then run away.
circumstances.
All right? I'll be hiding in the
Learn
bushes,
that proving
and we'll jump out to
wasn't
save you
what
in time.
mattered. Understanding complexity of human experience is more valuable. Men at construction site weren't performing masculinity for show. Were responding to real pressures and responsibilities. Their strength wasn't privilege, but survival mechanism. Developed through necessity rather than choice. Respected each other not for being men, but for doing work. For showing up consistently when others quit. Transformation taught me about authenticity in unexpected ways. Spent months pretending to be someone I wasn't. Ironically, learned more about who I actually was. Discovered that gender performance was exhausting for everyone. Men were constantly proving themselves just like women. Different standards, equally demanding. Everyone was acting roles they thought were expected. Genuine moments of connection happened when masks dropped. Construction site brotherhood wasn't about excluding women. It was about surviving together in harsh environments, based on shared hardship rather than gender identity. Physical strength from months of manual labor. Emotional strength from enduring isolation and hardship. Mental strength from questioning my own assumptions. All of these felt more real than theoretical strength I claimed before. Sometimes wondered what would have happened if I'd stayed. If I'd continued working construction and living as Alex. Whether that identity would have become more natural over time. Or if the deception would have eventually destroyed me. Grateful I had the option to leave and return to my original identity. But that choice itself was luxury many people don't have.
At Golf Galaxy, we make wish lists a reality. This holiday season, give gifts golfers really want. There's no better way to get a gift of love on People's Tattoo Curbside Gift Card. Fast shipping, yeah, it's a gift. Somehow was an effective
came with confusion and pain. The body still bears marks of that time, scars from various injuries and accidents, calloused hands that never completely softened, muscle memory of lifting heavy materials and using tools, voice that carries traces of forced deepening. These physical reminders keep the experience present, prevent me from dismissing it as temporary phase, proof that transformation left permanent changes. The most important lesson wasn't about gender or strength. It was about humility and the danger of assumptions, how easy it is to judge situations you've never experienced, to build theories without testing them in reality. The construction site forced me to confront the gap between what I thought I knew and what was actually true. It taught me to ask questions instead of making statements, to listen more carefully to people whose lives differed from mine. Igor's influence continues to shape how I approach challenges. His quiet wisdom about endurance without self-pity, about doing what needs to be done regardless of feelings, about finding dignity in difficult circumstances. When I face problems now, I think about his steadiness, his refusal to complain despite legitimate hardships, his focus on responsibility rather than right. More from his example than from any book or lecture. Understand now that my journey wasn't immense capabilities. It was about expanding my understanding of human experience, learning that strength and weakness exist in many forms, that everyone carries invisible burdens and hidden capabilities, that judging others without walking in their shoes is arrogant, that real empathy requires genuine effort to understand. Different perspectives and experiences. Construction site taught me about class in ways college never did. Academic discussions of working class issues felt abstract. Compared to daily reality, physical labor for survival. Understood viscerally how economic pressure shapes choices, how lack of alternatives forces people into difficult situations, how dignity can be maintained even in harsh circumstances, how solidarity develops among people facing similar struggles. Theory and practice were completely different things. Feminism I practice now is more complex than nuanced. Still believe in equality, but understand barriers differently. Focus more on expanding opportunities for everyone. Less on blaming particular groups for systemic problems. Interested in supporting all people who face discrimination, whether based on gender, class, race, or other factors. Learned that coalition building requires understanding, rather than assumptions about others' experiences.
Greetings to you.
Relationships with my father completely transformed after this experience. His stories about construction work carried him with. Could hear the pride, but also the pain in his memories. Understood why he wanted to shield me from that world. Why he made comments about female weakness. It wasn't about women being inferior, but about protecting women. From dangers and hardships he witnessed firsthand. Our conversations became more honest and respectful. Still think about other workers at the site sometimes. Wonder how they're doing, whether they're still working construction. Remember specific moments of connection and understanding. Jokes shared during lunch breaks. Help offered during difficult tasks. Small kindnesses that meant more in harsh environments. These men gave me a gift of acceptance without knowing it. Treated me as equal when I was pretending to be someone else.
To hell with it.
Their genuine brotherhood was the most valuable thing I discovered. Experience taught me about the complexity of identity. How much of who we are is performance versus authenticity. Everyone was playing roles they thought were expected. Men performing masculinity, workers performing toughness. Myself performing gender I wasn't born into. I have led a close friend.
Thanks, Mom. Hey, are you smoking some of the room? Are you coming with?
May I will send from the pantry.
Huzzah! A toast to friends.
Say it on.
Tis the season to save. That's fun.
Genuine moments happen when people connected as humans facing shared challenges. Authenticity was rare and precious.
Looking for something in there? Thief! Ah! What do you think you're doing? Do that! Let's see what you're made of, you...
You deserve a kick in the teeth for what you've done. I hope he doesn't hurt anyone else. Fuck! I'm not up to this!
Now I've got you.
I saw a brawl.
Enough!
Someone should break it up.
You fucking murderer. Your days of doing evil are...
Arrest him, my God!
You picked the wrong target. Stop bothering me.
Shut your... I won't be intimidated.
Die!
Oh, bleeding out.
Hey, stop fighting.
Now you'll see the crime doesn't pay.
God grant you health.
It's just you. God bless. Huh? Strange. What? Hmm?
Hope you're not following me.
What's that I hear? Ah, so you're doing that.
What?
Right then.
Someone's lying here.
Mary, Mother of God, what happened here?
Oh.
Wake up! There you go.
Jesus Christ. My head must have hit it or something. Damn. Get!
Did I lose anything?
Shit. I had it right here.
They knocked me out and robbed me. I don't know who did it, but you must do something.
Yeah, interesting. I'll let you know if I find anything out.
Huh? Robbery! Here he
You
is!
thief! Surrender now!
I surrender!
Go! You're a want. The time has come for... And if I don't find those...
Are you yanking my pizzle?
I won't be intimidated.
You know what?
Enough!
It was you.
Enough!
I thought about that earlier.
I surrender.
Now you can stick it up your ass.
Now I've got you.
God! Smash his head in.
Now you'll see what we do with criminals, bastard. Show your stuff. Take that. Corva, I'm wounded. I'll beat you to bloody pulp, fucker. You should have yielded. Now... Fuck that.
Enough. I give up.
We know how to... You'll return what you stopped.
Wait a moment. I didn't steal any...
Don't try to...
Piss off.
I'll make you look...
Guards! Smash his head in!
There's nothing here for you.
Guards!
Help!
Guards!
Someone help me!
What? You're not allowed here!
What's that? Huh? What the hell? Hey, did something happen? Wake up.
Sucker! I need a bandage, quick. That's better. Murder. I'm sure of it.
Come on then. Let's sort this out.
Sorry. Let's make a deal.
You! Don't you dare move before I...
No.
This isn't over, you...
Annoying.